still finding out what's in it every day. Something new seems to come up. Now, I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution in 1985.
Right.
I still consider myself under that oath.
Right.
Now, you're trying to tell me that these guys, they took their pledge 20 years ago, 18 years ago, but they figure it's only for that one Congress? Well, if you felt that way, then why have you adhered to that pledge all the way until now? Senator Graham, who is notorious for going along with whatever Obama said, okay, I want Sotomayor on the court, he says, cool, elections have consequences. He wins. He gets his Supreme Court nominee. Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
With Elena Kagan.
And evidently, the majority of voters in South Carolina are okay with that.
Yeah, as per your respondent there, I was going to go there. If the majority of voters are in South Carolina are okay with Lindsey Graham, it's only because they don't know dick about him.
Well, they don't know. They don't pay any attention.
Yeah, we had that spot from Wacko Toys, which of course is tongue-in-cheek,
right.
But this guy is notorious. He starts off in the campaign season, he's been in office now as a senator for how long?
Yeah, he's in his second term.
Yeah, he's in midway through second term, almost 4 years into his second term, because 2014 it comes up again. So before he got his first term, he was telling us what a conservative he was, and how he believed in the backbone of conservative values and principles. And then as soon as he gets elected, he scoots across the aisle and starts voting with the left. Now, he's had flashes of brilliance, but maybe we can chalk that up to some sort of some kind of savantism, where occasionally they hit on a subject he knows. But for a large majority of the time, he's right down lockstep with the left. And then he comes, as the commercial says, flaming back to the right just before election time, hoping that you don't remember all the leftist crap he's done and how he went along with Sotomayor and Kagan and, a myriad of other decisions that he went along with. And this is just adding to it. Now, I do not release you, Senator Graham, from your pledge. I do not release any of you guys from your pledge. We, as a constituent of Senator Graham's, I hold his feet to the fire on this one. You pledged to not raise taxes, be it 18 years ago, 20 years ago, or 5 years ago, or just yesterday. I don't give a damn. You made this pledge, and we're holding you to it. Now, I've already put out calls on my page, Rick. I know you have as well. We have to get somebody in here coming up in for the 2014 cycle to get this clown gone. Yes, I made the funny thing that he was handpicked. He was.
Yes.
By his predecessor.
Yes.
He was the handpicked successor.
And the predecessor had been sitting in that seat so long. You think that that Ted Kennedy sat in that seat for a long time? Oh no, he ain't have nothing on that dude.
All right. Well, the guy started off as a Democratic Klansman, and
yeah,
and got an epiphany somewhere along the line, and then he handpicks this milquetoast, mealy mouth, waffle iron as his successor. I can't believe that he would know who he was picking as closely as he thought he did. But, certainly Mr. McCain, I was going to say, but Senator Graham has revealed himself. He's not conservative. He's not even really a Republican.
No.
He runs as a Republican in South Carolina because that's the way he can get elected. He's a Republican. He's a conservative in much the same way that John McCain is. Because these guys, and we made the joke earlier, Rick, that these guys go hand in hand. But they do. It's like Jeff Dunham and his puppet Walter.
Mm-hmm.
You got John McCain is Jeff Dunham, and you got Walter sitting there in the body of Senator Graham.
Right.
Whatever John McCain says, Lindsey Graham echoes it, close behind.
Right. And I think that for those of you out there listening that don't know South Carolina politics, I think a brief explanation is in order here. Okay, South Carolina is heavily GOP controlled, meaning that they're a large part of the state. Unless you've got an R beside your name, you're not getting elected. Right? So if you are a liberal-leaning fellow or young lady and you wish to hold office, you try to join the party that's going to win. Now, this has historical precedence. If you go back to the 50s, we're talking mid to late 50s, South Carolina was exactly the opposite. There wasn't even a Republican Party here. Okay? It didn't even really exist. Everything was Democrat. And we talked about our good buddy there being a Democratic Klansman back in the day. He was also the governor of this state. And he was a Democrat because that was the only party there was. So you had to be a Democrat to get anything done at all. That changed through the 60s and 70s and went exactly in the opposite direction. So we talked about Jakey Knotts. A couple of shows ago, I guess. Perfect example of somebody sitting there with an R beside their name who's no more of a Republican than my cat is.
Yeah.
So it's important when you're talking about South Carolina that you kind of understand a little bit about the way things work here. I mean, that's very simplified, and that's layman terms. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I've just had one gentleman tell me that he represents the majority of voters in South Carolina. So I sent back I'm sorry, sir, I must not have gotten that memo.
Well, the bottom line here is that these guys took pledges,
right,
and they secured votes through these pledges. Now, it comes down to their own sense of right and wrong as to whether or not they're going to follow through with those pledges. And I'm here to tell you right now, folks, that if Lindsey Graham discusses okays tax increases, votes for a tax increase, I will move heaven and earth to make sure that he doesn't get reelected. I mean, as much as in my power. Anybody listening out here, I'm telling you now that, well, no matter what, we're going to do what we can to make sure Lindsey Graham doesn't go back.
Well, we were going to do that anyway.
He doesn't speak for the state.
He doesn't.
Say it?
He doesn't. But we were going to do that anyway. Glad you're just reiterating that. But for people now, I had a discussion with someone else today who is for want of a better word, a party insider in the South Carolina GOP. And the discussion we had pertained to how can the GOP earn the 17 to 35-year-old vote.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a test. I've done this before, and I know, Carrie, that you have also. I walked up to one of my employees at my other job and said, just very simple question, I would like for you to answer this off the top of your head without thinking about it. What can the GOP do to get you and your friends to support them? His answer, and it was immediate, without any hesitation, was both parties lie. We want somebody who's going to tell us the truth.
Right.
So there you go. On the same day after, Lindsey breaking a promise, telling a lie, same deal. Right. So where does
Well,
that leave us?
well, I'm not even sure that the American people want someone that's going to tell them the truth anymore, because the truth, folks, is scary.
Right.
It's frightening. And there's some hard truths that we're going to have to accept, and we're going to have to hear before it's going to get better. And you're not hearing it from anybody on the national stage right now. And that is, there's going to have to be some short-term pain. It's going to have to be. Hey, ask the people at Hostess.
Right.
They're learning that lesson right now. Hey, I joined this union, and I'm thinking they're going to be looking out for me, and they wound up not only not looking out for me, but getting my company closed down. And the guys in the leadership of the union, well, they're still employed, and I'm sitting here with my worthless picket sign in my hand, but with no one to yell at because the company's liquidated.
Yeah, and you got to love that.
I mean, I hate that it has to come with that. They have to pay what what they call stupid tax. But there it is, folks. If you think these people are looking out for you, they're not. They're not looking. They're looking out for themselves. And it gets down. And we've talked about this 100 times, Rick. South Carolina politics. Apply this to your own home state, because I'm sure it is the same no matter where you go. Each little group, each state has its own little group of people who are on the inside, and they're not really looking to solve any problems. They're all looking to maintain their own little fiefdoms, their own little kingdoms, their own little power base that keeps them fat and happy, while the rest of us swim around the bowl.
Right.
And that's all that we have here. And then no one is coming forward. And, we keep saying, Congress approval levels at all-time lows. And yet we sent back most of the same people that were there already. Why? Because, my guy's good. Everybody else needs to change theirs.
Yeah,
well we're telling you, our guy's no good, and we need to change him. Now, if we've got the courage to say that here in our own state, don't you think maybe you should, reach down and cinch up your testicles and say, hey, yeah, our guy sucks too.
Right.
And maybe we do have to throw the baby out with the bathwater on this one and just start over again with a whole brand new Congress and Senate. As these guys come up for re-election, hey, if you're an incumbent, go over here and have a seat. It's time to let somebody else have a shot, because you guys aren't doing it. We talk about what's their job. What is their job? These guys, these crackpots in the Senate, they haven't approved a budget since Obama's been in office. Their primary responsibility, and they have failed to do it, and yet they still draw a paycheck, a very hefty paycheck. At least as measured on the scale of you and I.
Right.
And certainly a nice paycheck as compared to middle America. And yet these guys, what are they doing for this money? They have made no decisions other than to screw us over with Obamacare. They were sitting here on the precipice of the fiscal cliff, and I hate to use a euphemism, but there it is, where on January 2nd, these tax increases are going to take place, whether anybody agrees with them or not. It's a done deal. The only thing they can do now is stop them. They can. It's either yes or no.
Right.
Sequestration is going to take place, and for what? To save $1 trillion over 10 years, $100 billion a year. $100 billion a year, and we're running $1 trillion deficits every year since Mr. Obama's been in office. Over $1 trillion. So what is $100 billion going to do? And then these taxes that they're wanting to increase, what do you think they're going to do? If you taxed every person over $250,000 a year, if you tax them at 100%, 100%, it doesn't generate enough revenue to operate the government for a month.
Nope.
I think the number I actually heard earlier today was if you tax